Lining up at Pukekohe for the final race of the weekend for the Battery Town Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. Reverse grid top 6. Johnny Reid starts off the pole alongside Courtney Lederker. Ant Pedersen from row 2 alongside Matt Halliday. Row 3, the one to watch, Craig Baird and Daniel Gaunt make up that row. Back to row number 4, Mitch Cunningham lines up alongside the VNC Cocktails 997 of Shane McKillen. Then it's Andrew Bagnall and Hugh Gardner, the first of the 996s on row 5. Simon McLennan and Rob Steele, another two 996s on row 6. Row 7, young Simon Evans lines up alongside Mike Morton. Colin Caldwell and Paul Kelly make up row number 8. That's how they line up. So they're warming the tyres up, and we are waiting in anticipation, Tim Martin. An enthralling weekend, lots of drama, not necessarily off-track stuff, but a fair bit going on in the pits, and you know, that rivalry between Craig Baird and Matt Halliday at the moment. I think Beardo's 2-0 up.
Beardo is 2-0 up, and obviously it's a rivalry that's been going on for a number of years now. As we see Daniel Gaunt warming his tyres up. Just in the race 2, Matt was handed a time penalty, 25 seconds for breaking traction on the warm-up lap, so that's really cost him for his weekend.
That does seem pretty harsh, because a jump start is just 5 seconds, and the team believe they may have been just a little bit hard done by.
Yeah, Matt definitely wasn't happy about that. And the other one was Johnny Reid, who starts from pole position with fuel pressure problems all weekend. He was lucky to get out on the track with a last-minute issue there. So
the top 6 are lined up on lap times. The fastest lap time from race number 2 starts off grid 6, and that was Daniel Gaunt with a 57.6, just a 10th off David Reynolds' outstanding track record. As we go to the green, and a flyer from Johnny Reid. Courtney Lederker is going to get swamped by Halliday to the outside. Wrong one with Halliday now. And Pedersen got a great start down the inside as well.
Great start by the International Motorsport guys there. Reid into the lead, and Halliday early on slips into second, so fantastic start for Matt Halliday.
And Baird sneaked ahead of Daniel Gaunt already for 5th and 6th as the rest of the field file their way through. There's Colin Caldwell in the 996 debuting this weekend in the Porsche GT3 Cup. On board with Daniel Gaunt now, chasing down his Triple X teammate, Craig Baird.
So Daniel setting the fastest lap time in race 2, putting him back to 6th when they reverse the top 6.
Whoa.
Big lock up for Johnny Reid. That's going to cost him. That'll be a flat spot on his tyre for sure.
I saw what was left of Paul Kelly's tyres after that off through the S's, and it doesn't take a lot to do it, and that was a big lock up.
So Jamie, after that, I think fairly quickly we'll see Matt Halliday take over the lead of this race from Reid. That'll be a massive problem for him. That flat spot will keep picking up.
That's Hugh Gardner now. Gardner's had an off up at the hip, and then
dirt coming from underneath Gardner's car.
Here's the replay of Reid's lock up, right front.
Massive lock up for Reid. So Ant Pedersen, the other one to benefit out of that as well, and Hugh Gardner sliding off.
So he's gone off under brakes at the hairpin as well. Now, he won the opening 2 996 races, so we should see a new 996 victor for race number 3, because Hugh Gardner is the better part of 5 or 6 seconds back off the tail of the field.
And sure enough, Jamie, you can see there Halliday out in front now, with Courtney Lederker putting a lot of pressure on Johnny Reid. It'll be interesting to see if Reid can carry on with what must be a fairly damaged tyre.
And Pedersen, oh, it's another brake lock up there. That's Mitch Cunningham. Ant Pedersen covering Craig Baird, just running defensively down into 1. So at the moment, Baird with the headlights on, trying to get by.
So you can hear a massive flat spot on Reid's car. That's going to cost him. It'll be, I don't know if he's going to be able to finish this race based on that. When he jumps hard on the brakes, it's really going to hurt him. The flat spot always returns, and you'll want to keep locking it up. So far, he's doing a fantastic job.
So Craig Baird's got around Ant Pedersen now, up to 4th, the reigning Battery Town Porsche GT3 Cup champ.
Teammate of his, Courtney Lederker, up in 3rd, and it's been a stunning weekend for Courtney Lederker for round 1 of the championship this season.
Talking to the Triple X guys, he really has tested well over the winter, and he came on strong towards the end of last year's championship after an up-and-down debut in the GT3s.
And Craig Baird, maximum attack on Ant Pedersen. He'll be keen to get past these guys as early as he can, but Ant doing a good job of defending, although he's leaving the door open a little now.
Gaunt's going to slip up the inside of Pedersen. Oh, he just tagged the back bumper of Baird's car on the way through. Oh, and contact there, further contact with Pedersen and Gaunt, so it's a fight.
Mitch Cunningham making some advantage out of that, so he's up the inside of Pedersen now, 2 cars in 1 move.
Well, has Daniel Gaunt possibly done some damage? These cars are pretty fragile in the front end, with their radiators being in the front corners of the bumpers.
We would see that damage pretty quickly, so far Gaunt charging back up the inside of Pedersen, so he makes the move stick this time.
So those two have both lost spots. Points situation going into the final race. Beard leading on 150 for the round. Gaunt second on 134. Ledicka third on 120. Johnny Reid and Pedersen tied for fourth on 103. Here's a replay. So this is Gaunt up the inside of Pedersen. He makes that pretty clean, and there's the tag. Dislodges the rear bumper. Now for Craig Beard, we'll have to wait and see if that becomes an issue. Of course, those points I referred to as we look at this replay, that could be an issue for Craig Beard. Those points that I've said, they will change with double points for race number 1, but pretty much the order will be the same.
So finally Halliday gets out in front and clean track for him. It's been a pretty rough weekend as he's returned to New Zealand, basing himself now in the USA. It's been a rough weekend in the GT3 Cup, but finally Halliday back out in front where he's used to being.
That's a great shot looking back over the rear wing with these wonderful 997 Cup cars. I think Halliday's going to be pretty tough to peg back from here. He's got about a 1.2 second advantage over Johnny.
Talking to his crew before the race, the plan for Halliday was to set the car up to come on early. He wanted a good, strong car at the start of the race, which will be interesting to see later on in the race what happens if his car drops off a little bit. He'll be wanting to make as much of a gain early on.
A couple of big looks in the mirrors there. Craig Beard's moved through to third. You can see that rear bumper dislodged. Now, will that be an issue? We have seen some of these cars flagged for situations like this.
And that bumper really looks like it wants to come off, and Mitch Cunningham running wide there, so Daniel Gaunt getting around him.
So we're watching Craig Beard. There's the damage to the right rear, and unfortunately for him, it was his teammate trying to make a pass on Ant Pedersen, and it was just the lightest of touches as well.
So far, nothing from race control, but it's going to be interesting to see if they do anything about that one.
Lap 5, Matt Halliday leads the GT3 finale from Pukekohe for the Fujitsu 200, the opening round of the Motorsport New Zealand Premier Championship Series.
And Johnny Reid, you've got to say, Jamie, he's doing a good job there. Look, he had a big flat spot in that first approach to the hairpin, and so far it hasn't seemed to bother him again. So good driving and management of his tyres.
He's handling well, because what tends to happen is they pick that flat spot again back up under brakes.
The only thing he might have done, which is really clever if he did get away with it, was possibly to come off the brakes, at least get the tyre moving a little bit, so it wasn't just one big flat spot, and bodywork coming off Beard's car now.
Oh, right into the path of Mitch Cunningham, who locks up. He sledged across the top of what was left of the bumper. That's probably going to help Craig Beard.
It helps Craig Beard, but you've got to say it's unfair for Mitch Cunningham. It's not a good thing to happen there to him.
So there's the debris.
And look at Courtney Ledicka getting a little loose, managing to avoid that.
On board with Daniel Gaunt. Here's his look at it. There's the bumper, and there goes the bumper.
That could also be a puncture for Cunningham running over that. I think he might be in a little more trouble than we've seen here.
Craig Beard third, chasing down Johnny Reid. The now naked rear end of the Man Butcher 997. Will that affect any of the aero being sort of at the back of the car?
Rear bumper's not the most critical thing on these cars, so I don't think it'll have too much of an influence. Obviously, it's not ideal, but I think Beardo should be able to get her away with that. Another little brake lock up there for Johnny Reid, so obviously pushing maximum attack from him, not wanting to let Craig Beard past him.
Well, he has to, because he's got Beard, Ledicka and Gaunt right there with him. There's Mitch Cunningham. Seems to be a fairly slow exit speed off the hairpin there. We'll just wait and see if he's got any dramas having run over that rear bumper like Daniel Gaunt did, but Gaunt's continuing. Here's Andrew Bagnall in the Life Pharmacy 997.
These carbon fibre bumpers, they're made from a really strong material. Carbon fibre is easily able to puncture the tyres on these cars, so you want to make sure that you don't run over any carbon fibre debris, as Mitch Cunningham got forced into doing.
Johnny Reid fighting for second, trying to hold off the champ, Craig Beard. Busy boy this weekend. They had some issues in the NZV8 race, of course.
Past the halfway distance, you've got to say life's not too hard for Matt Halliday right now. He's got Johnny Reid to hold off Beardo for him. So it's quite a nice gap, just over 2 seconds back to Johnny Reid, and then Johnny's holding up Beardo.
Okay, 996, Rob Steele leads from Simon McLennan. Simon Evans back in third, and that's 9th, 10th and 12th overall. Paul Kelly splitting McLennan and Evans in the 11th position.
gearbox problems earlier on in the weekend for Rob Steele. It looks like they're all solved now as he's back up to pace, with Paul Kelly having a look around the outside the hard way around Simon McLennan.
There's two 996s hitting a 997.
Was that Simon Evans just going off in the background?
Oh,
yeah, that's
was.
Evans. Beach.
Well spotted.
And that'll be a safety car. The stewards won't be able to leave that car beached there.
Well, unfortunately, that undoes a good weekend for the Evans European Banklink 996 team. Simon Evans just finding his feet after that big fire and testing a week ago.
So far, the only call from the marshals is that it's a yellow flag at the hairpin, so they might let this race run through to the checkered flag.
Just 4 laps left to go. Let's look at the replay. Tim picked it up in the back of shot just as we were concentrating on Rob Steele and Simon McLennan, and he has unfortunately beached the Banklink Evans European number 11 996.
And the safety car now coming out.
Yeah, no worries. We missed that call on that break. Did you call that pretty quick? Okay, thank you. Welcome back to Pukekohe. We've got the safety car out on the racetrack for the final race for the Batterytown Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. The reason for the safety car was Simon Evans having an off at the hairpin. So the zone Mercedes pacing this field around. We'll wait for the lights to go out to see if we pick up this restart. Matt Halliday with the lead, and he didn't need that. He had a fairly substantial lead. Same place, Hedgie. Welcome back to Pukekohe. The safety car is out for the final race for the Batterytown Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. The reason for that was an off for Simon Evans running in the 996 class. The Zone Mercedes safety car peels off. We're back under race conditions. Matt Halliday did not need the safety car because he had a big lead, but there is some lap traffic in between himself, Johnny Reid and Craig Baird.
He had a more than 2-second lead, so massive gap for Halliday. As soon as they see the green lights, these boys will be off racing. Halliday obviously keen to get that lead as quick as he can, and he's left the field.
Lap 11 restart, 5 to go, 16 lapper.
Massive lead already for Halliday, so that lap car really working to his advantage, and now Craig Baird will have the blowtorch on Johnny Reid to see if he can work his way past.
That's the race to watch. We're on board with Daniel Gaunt. Currently in the 5th position behind Courtney Lederker. Not for long, he got a great run.
On Lederker, so Gaunt making the move. He'll be on the bumper of his teammate Craig Baird any second. And Baird looking for any way past Johnny Reid on the run down to the hairpin.
When you say on the bumper, he did that literally a few laps ago, which eventually dislodged. Oh, Beardo fighting hard to the outside of Johnny Reid. There's the gap back from Matt Halliday, the chasing group.
And Johnny Reid not used to such short races. A 16-lap race for him is a super short race. He's used to races for much more than an hour driving the single-seaters he's been running in the last few years.
On board with Gaunt.
Pulling 6th gear down here, so super quick. The entry here about 230, 235k an hour, dropping back to about 170k an hour where we are now, and then shutting it down for the S's, using a lot of curb through there. Here's
Daniel Gaunt, so that's a fairly compact group. Matt Halliday was 3 seconds, so he actually extended. He had a 2-second lead before the safety car, and he's extended that straight out to 3 off the restart, so he made a big gain with that lap traffic in front of Johnny Reid and Craig Baird as they run over a little bit more debris up towards the hairpin.
So Johnny Reid driving a really clever defensive race here. He's obviously with Beardo on his tail, not able to really attack and push on, worry about his own race. He'll have his mirrors filled with Beardo and managing where he places his car to make it as hard as he can for Beardo. But these guys are allowed to move once, and after they've made one move to defend, then that's it. They have to take that line for the next corner.
In turn for Craig Baird, he doesn't need to panic. He's all but got the round already sewed up. You know, with the finishing orders still to come and a couple of laps left to go, but you want to leave you with a championship lead at a minimum.
But Beardo's clever. He knows that he doesn't have to win every single race at all costs. It's all about banking points, putting them in the bank for a championship, and that's his big focus, is winning the championship, not just winning one race.
And aside from speed last year, he did win it with no DNFs as well, and that's what cost David Reynolds, as we've discussed over the weekend. Here he goes to the outside of Reid. Has he got track position?
The long way round, look for a lock-up from Reid, but Reid doing a fantastic job managing his braking ability with that flat-spotted front tyre.
I'd love to be in there with Johnny Reid. I think he would be thoroughly enjoying a good old-fashioned fight.
Exactly. Obviously lots of pressure on from Beardo, who is such an experienced campaigner in these fantastic German-built Porsche GT3 Cup cars.
So 14 down, 2 to go for the Batterytown GT3 Cup Challenge from Pukekohe. Matt Halliday with a 3.4 second advantage. He's picked up a couple of tenths in the last 2 laps.
And you've got to say Beardo is a lucky man, Jamie, to not get any form of penalty, to come in and remove that rear bumper that was flapping in the middle of the race.
Yeah, that really could have cost him in the end, and that would have made the point situation especially different. So here's 996, Rob Steele, Simon McLennan, and Hugh Gardner. That safety car certainly helped Hugh Gardner with that off in the opening lap at the hairpin. Their nose to tail.
Rob Steele doing a good job out front, and Simon McLennan, one of the new guys, stepping up from the mini challenge.
Craig Baird can't afford to blink here because Daniel Gaunt is all over the reigning champ. Courtney Lederker's back there, and Pedersen. Pedersen, a solid weekend considering he has not had the best of health.
He wasn't a well man on Friday. He had to miss all the practice. These guys got a big advantage over Ants on the Friday practice, and then he's been battling what he thinks was food poisoning for the rest of the weekend. So last lap borders out for these guys. Massive lead for Matt Halliday out front. And Johnny Reid, one more lap to hold off the defending Batterytown Porsche GT3 Cup champion Craig Baird.
3.6 seconds is the gap, and that's your battle group for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, back through to about 6th. Headlights on board with Halliday on the final lap.
Halliday obviously not having too much pressure on this one. He'll be a happy man to finally bank some decent points at the tail end of the weekend. And Gaunty really giving Beardo a run, dropping onto the curb and pushing Beardo all the way to the checkered flag.
That could be an interesting conversation at the end of the race.
Teammates, you don't want to take each other out there. That was getting pretty tight as Halliday comes down the line for the checkered flag for race 3 of the Batterytown Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge.
International Motorsport are going to pick up a 1-2, reversing the fortunes from the weekend. Halliday with his first win, Johnny Reid second, points leader after Pukekohe will be Craig Baird. Pretty dominant other than this race from Matt Halliday. There was a few issues for Beardo, but he did it in the end. He'll lead Pukekohe with the championship lead. Rob Steele takes the honours in 9.96 ahead of Simon McLennan and Hugh Gardner. Halliday a lot happier than he was the previous 2 races.
Listening into Halliday's team radio there, that's the way you do it, man. He's a happy boy in the car, finally.
And Matt Halliday finally inflicting a defeat on championship leader Craig Baird for the weekend with the win in race 3. Johnny Reid second, Craig Baird in third ahead of Daniel Gaunt, Courtney Lederker and Ant Pedersen. And taking out the 9.96 honours, Rob Steele in 10th place overall. It was the fastest cars at Pukekohe putting on the show this weekend for the finale for the Batterytown Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. Johnny Reid survived this big brake lock-up. Hugh Gardner had this moment through the gravel off the end of the back straight on the first lap. Daniel Gaunt playing tag with Ant Pedersen and his teammate Craig Baird. And they had another go at it off the exit. Craig Baird carrying some damage to the bumper on the back of the Mad Butcher Porsche. That became dislodged. Gaunt ran over it. They continued on. Simon Evans fell off into the gravel trap, also off the end of the back straight, and that brought out the safety car. Off the restart, Matt Halliday ran away and hid, celebrating victory for the Fisher and Paykel team.